And we are live. Welcome back to another episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. I still do not have a soundboard. Gosh, I need to get that. That's my fault, boys. But I want to start it off with a question that the podcast has usually started off with. Is it a great week to be a Manchester United fan, boys?
Absolutely.
I think it's time to clock in. Henry Wine, why don't you start it off, my friend?
What's up, y'all? It's Henry Wind. I will say before I dive into anything, Nick, it's so nice to hear your voice in a We Are Live for the Mecca of Banter.
You like
podcast.
that? You like that?
It's been far too long since we started off a podcast with Nick Hayflinger's voice, and happy to have you hosting this one today. What's up, y'all? It's Henry Wind at Henry Wind on Twitter. As I say every single week, it's a great week to be a Manchester United fan. Boy, am I excited for tonight's episode. Man. I'm excited to hear everyone's thoughts. Sitting comfortably in third, it's a great week this week.
Yeah, hey, I love your attitude right now, Henry. Happy that that's the way you feel. But we'll get to you in a little bit. All right, Winks,
absolutely,
over there, my friend.
What's up, gentlemen? Big St. Louis City win this weekend. Arsenal win,
huge.
Man, I'm so sad I couldn't go to the game. A couple of my friends were getting married, so I was watching the game on my phone at a table at the reception the whole time, wishing that I was 10 minutes down the road with all you boys.
The classic sports fan at a wedding.
Yeah,
dude.
100%. What up, everybody? It's Winks at LCW21 on Twitter. Stoked to be here. Hoov, what's up, baby?
Yeah, man, not much. Another day in paradise, I guess. Yeah, game was pretty insane. That was definitely a good watch. Had a pretty good time downtown St. Louis. Don't need to rip it as hard for the next home game, I don't think. But you only have your first home game once. So
I wanted to give Hoov a little shout out before we get into it on his sideline reporting. He correctly predicted with the Clydesdales that it would be a 3-1 victory. So big shouts to you, Hoov.
I think in my
Clydesdale.
Clydesdales had it, dude. I think I gave probably 3 different predictions through the day, so I can't sit here and give full credit. But that one on video was great. Yeah, we got a little Mecca on the street content, which is some good fun. But yeah, Dobes.
Fellas, how are we? It's a great week to be a Manchester United fan.
I love it. The deflections are just coming hot and fast.
I do know that, like, based off of like this podcast history, like typically, not going to name names, but hosts, when their team loses, let's just say the integrity of this podcast is in question. Because there's other hosts here, don't want to name names, Winks, Nick, that
don't want to name names.
When your team loses, you just don't show up. So many of our fans probably expected Henry and I not to be here today, but we're here to bring integrity back to the Mecca of Banter.
Hey, I actually 100% respect that.
We're here. So I have a proposition for you fellas. And this is a little ongoing bet that I think can go on during the season. That if your team loses on the weekend and you don't show up, I understand there's oblos, people have obligations, but if you don't show up and you don't bring a replacement, then you have to, for a full week, have to wear a jersey of the group choosing at every moment.
Ooh.
It could be middle of a work day. You could get a text from me, say, send me a pic. And you have to be wearing the jersey.
I dig that.
This is just to bring a little integrity back to the podcast, because
I found a
replacement.
Nicky Winks again.
I found a replacement.
Not to name names.
Was I not here after we lost one of the games?
There was a tie. There was a loss in there.
I'm pretty sure it was either after a tie or after a win.
You were at a work trip.
Well, then, Winks, you have nothing to worry about then, man.
That's what I'm saying.
If you can commit to it, you can commit to it.
I'm just going to defend myself.
I've not heard the word integrity on this podcast before today, and I just heard it like 7 times since.
Hey,
I don't know you're
on the Mecca of Banter.
Because what are the best episodes after, like, tonight? United gets beat, best episode. Chelsea gets beat. Where's Nick? Oh, we can't even do any banter.
Oh,
because
I
he's
was
not-
there. What do you
because
mean?
he's
We've
not-
been losing
because
for
he's
the
not
past
there.
2 months.
There've
dude.
been
I've
a lot
here.
of losses.
I was
He's
gonna
got
say
a
I've
point.
been here, dude.
He gives us
Some
the
have
hey,
more than
hey
others.
Jake, go be the whipping boy.
No.
Go, hey Jake, go join the
I've
podcast
been-
when I can't join, so you can take the shit.
I've been here.
No.
But as you say that, I do want to bring to light that our man Ryan Butchart is not here because boy would
Man,
he have been
bro,
fun today.
Man.
He's another
Gosh,
one
would have
that
been
is
so
ducked
fun.
after some losses. He's the main
Yes.
one that ducks after losses.
He
Yes.
is. I need that laugh. You know the one.
But man, would I have loved to hear him, yes, laugh and scream touchdown and all of that fun stuff, which I think leads us right into it. We're going to do our Prem review to start it off. And as we've been talking about Manchester United versus Liverpool, a 7-0 victory for Liverpool. Obviously, I kind of wanted to get Henry and Dobes' first initial thoughts, and then we can kind of talk amongst and give you guys some banter.
You guys have a little bit of time here, because we're
Honestly-
all playing in Butchie's
Honestly,
role.
guys, it was a tough game to watch. The biggest story that came out of that entire game is the Liverpool fans with the Germany flag and a plane on it, mocking the Munich air disaster where fans died. So there was a soccer game that happened on, but the controversial issues that are going on at end right now, like it's insane. They were even talking about football. Like you guys want to talk about
disrespectful
point of
soccer.
view here.
You
I
guys
like
want
where
to
you're
talk
going.
about soccer when we have people making fun of a plane crash.
Is that
Like
the
if
reason
you
that
guys,
they?
if you guys want my thoughts on a soccer game when this like controversial issue is going on right now, like I don't know what the integrity that you guys have, but as you guys know,
You're
I've brought
awful.
the integrity. to my-
That's insane. That's
The
insane.
integrity.
That is
That's
that is the
crazy.
craziest.
Okay,
Unreal.
so moving on from Dobes, Henry, it was a 7-0 loss. Liverpool
we're-
versus Manchester United. What are your thoughts?
I mean,
On the soccer game.
I'll be
Yes.
honest with you. And
Could have
this
been a
is, like,
football game because it's 7.
no mean for deflections. I can sum up the game in like 3 sentences. So if you guys want to get your licks in, go ahead. Get your licks in because I'm like already on to this week. So
No, I want to hear from you like what went wrong for your club? What needed to change during the game to avoid, them continuing to score, and was there something that didn't happen? Obviously, you guys were making subs all throughout the game. It sucked to see.
yeah.
It sucked to see Rashford being one of the best players in the world right now come off, and
Thank you.
that felt like when I was watching it that Ten Hag was kind of like giving up on that game at that point, and maybe he was, but like
Yeah,
what
Yeah.
happened because you guys
that doesn't
didn't look
happen.
like you guys have in
on
2023.
a more serious note, obviously, yesterday was my personal hell. I was sitting in Amsterdam as the LA chant just was ringing through the entire place the entire time, hungover as shit. So yesterday was my personal hell. But the game itself, like I think it's a combination of 11 games in 31 days, legs absolutely gassed, going to a hostile environment. But this is the one thing, Tom, I think that Ten Hag kind of got the lineup wrong. If you look at who our right back has been in all of our big games that we've won this season, Barcelona, Man City, it was Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And in a game where we don't have a lot of legs and people are exhausted, and you're going to be defending a lot of the game, like Delo is not a great 1v1 defender. Great going forward, but Delo was terrible. I would have had Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but that might have been the only change I'd actually make. Other than that, the players just didn't show up. Like there's no excuse other than players didn't show up. Like there comes a time where it's like, okay, it's 3-0. Like let's, close the hatchet. Let's just get out of here with a 3-0. We got embarrassed today. But then there's just like quitting. And that's essentially what happened in the last, half hour of the game. Like going in 1-0 at halftime down, I would say not confident of us coming back, but like I had high hopes that like Garnacho was coming in the game. We were going to make a change like we've seen for the last month, that something was going to change. We're going to come back. But there was hope. And then like very quickly, it had to be, of course, fucking Gakpo. And of course it had to be fucking Nunez. Liverpool just stomped on our throats. But like the blame here is on Ten Hag and 100% the players, because them just giving up was just a disgrace.
Yeah, I mean, what was interesting was like So to echo, 1-0 at half, I was confident, to be honest with you. I was confident that we were still going to get a result. Felt good about it. I don't think that we were playing out of our minds or anything in the first half, but we were in the game. We've seen plenty of times this season where, I mean, we've been on this podcast talking about the halftime adjustment several times with Ten Hag. He just didn't do it this game. And I don't know if that was, obviously we're not in the locker room. So I don't know if that was something that he saw, that he was like, no, these are my guys. This is what's going to happen. But when you look across the entire team, just about everyone turned up a terrible performance. And it wasn't just like last year where it was like bad performance after bad performance after bad performance. It was one of the weirdest games I've ever watched. Because even though it was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals, 6 goals, 7 goals, getting let in, it was like every single bounce that possibly could have gone for Liverpool did. Luke Shaw cleared the ball twice off of Liverpool players, and it landed right on another Liverpool player for a tap in. And no, I'm not taking anything away from Liverpool. Like, they put the ball in the net 7 times and they kept a
massive
clean sheet,
result for them too.
It's a huge result for them. But every goal that went in, I was like, that's so weird and so uncharacteristic. And I think that's why I said earlier that, like, I'm already on to this week. Ten Hag has shown us time and time again this year that he learns. He's, a first-year Premier League manager, and we've had problems away from Old Trafford. We've gotten stomped by some teams away from Old Trafford. If you think back to City 6-3 at the Etihad, what was it? Brentford 4-0 at Brentford Stadium. We had Liverpool 7-0 at Anfield. Like, we struggle away against Big Six sides. It's things that's happened. So the game ended. I thought that was the weirdest performance I've watched in about a year since Ten Hag has come in. And the thing that, like, honestly kind of really disappointed me, though, was no one put in a good performance, and it looked like everyone just kind of gave up on the field. But man, last year things were so bad, and Twitter, we talked about like Spurs Twitter being like a funny place to be in, or like Arsenal Twitter or whatever, but like United Twitter last year was like a war zone, and it was terrible. There were so many leaks in the media, there was all this stuff, and we get beaten in this manner, and all of a sudden there's like leaks coming out of the dressing room that Bruno Fernandes is unfit to wear the armband and that he's a disgrace, and there's like former Manchester United players like calling for Bruno's like captaincy, where like never once has Harry Maguire been like criticized by former players or anything like that. So it was disappointing as like a fan base to see that a bad result became like players being on the chopping block versus like, that's a bad result, we need to rally behind the team and move forward and trust that Ten Hag is going to do what Ten Hag's going to do. Like Dobes, I was sending Dobes all sorts of tweets this morning of me like laughing hysterically at some of like the things that were coming out, like some of the things that Ten Hag was saying to the players along the lines of like, what I should have done is made you ride home with the fans that traveled all that way to watch you play in that 7-0 game. That really would have like gotten your mind straight. Or a Ten Hag telling players that if you ever do that again, you're training with the under 21s until I say otherwise, making them watch back all 7 goals in complete silence and having the roar of the Anfield Stadium again. This is my manager, man. Like, I think that he got the lineup wrong. I think some of the subs he made were wrong. Taking off Casemiro, bringing on McTominay, wrong. But we move. I think Betis is a great bounce back game for us for a lot of reasons. And we move.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I'll say is that it's bump in the road, like on a long journey. If you look at like, you compare Klopp in his first season to Ten Hag, I think it was like Klopp, like in 51 games, had 22 wins, 0 trophy, and they finished like 9th. Like here we are, 42 games in. Eric Ten Hag, has 30 wins, a trophy, and still in 3 competitions. Like,
and in third place.
And in third place. Like, I think if you lose to Liverpool, it's not that bad. If you lose to Liverpool 2-1 at Anfield, it's not terrible. Losing 7-0 is what makes it embarrassing. Like the 7-0 is what makes it. Truthfully, like last year was embarrassing, but that yesterday as a United fan was probably the most embarrassed I've been as a United fan.
And that's the weird part. Like we've all been on teams, whether it's 5-a-side or like Sunday league or whatever it is, or even like in high school, college, where you're getting beaten, but how to like stop the flow. that was kind of part of the weirdness for me, that it was like 3 or 4-0 and we're still bombing 8 guys forward and then like getting countered with like 4 or 5 guys. Like that shit made no sense. And obviously we're not on the field and all we can do is watch. Like, did Ten Hag just not tell the players to like hunker down? Like, I don't know what happened there. So weird. What a difference a week makes in the world of football, from a week ago winning against Newcastle to lift the trophy to a week later getting embarrassed against Liverpool. It's a brutal thing.
Yeah, embarrassed. I
Embarrassed
mean,
is a great
dude,
word that I
7-0.
just heard.
I just need to keep. I don't know, bro. Like, I see where everyone's coming from here. I just looked at the stats. Liverpool had like a 2.7 xG, which stats aren't everything, but
that's
put
crazy.
7, to put 5, to put 7 in off of that's insane. I think there's got to be a lot of credit to the ridiculous finishing. Like, left and right, bro, they were bagging goals.
I was gonna say it looked like
They were
a
hanging
lot of the shots that they have been missing and like we've kind of been like memeing, they were just falling and going in for them now.
We
Like,
also were fucking at Swiss cheese. Like we were like playing through.
I was gonna say Dobes,
Green.
and Henry mentioned it as well. I think the thing that shocked me the most was the quit. Like it was
For
like
sure.
very obvious. Like we all saw them kind of give up. And Henry, you're right. They were all like going forward and then getting countered defensively, and then some of like Luke Shaw. Like I have been highly on Luke Shaw for a while. Like I think he's been
the best left back in the world up
couple,
until yesterday.
but I thought he just looked awful, and it looked like he gave up. He looked like he was like
second best,
getting frustrated and pushing people as well. Like I was not impressed by
that leads Martinez.
I hope it doesn't start a cancer in your guys' dressing room, because that performance was embarrassing.
I think
that's a good call out.
This is way more, and not to continue to drag you guys, because you fun zoned this whole entire situation. You guys both feel fine. So this, like, that type of loss is demoralizing. Like, obviously in Ten Hag, yes, it's great. But like, where you have to pick back up from that. I think it's way less about Liverpool being good. I'm not even gonna sit here and say like,
I think that's the best part about being in
across everything.
That's part about being in 4 competitions. You play in 3 days. You can right the ship quickly. Like, I think that's the best part about it, is like,
I think it's going to be a big test. Like I think this is going to be one of the biggest tests for Ten Hag coming off of loss. Like
yes, and
controlling the locker room.
But he also he has the locker room.
Like
we have,
and once again, I don't know. I'm just asking.
Like, that's the thing that's not in question at all. Does he have the locker room? It's just that, does he get the response out of the players having played so many games? Like,
it was so much more United was worse than Liverpool was great. Like, Liverpool
that's
was
the
good.
thing.
Liverpool was really good, and I'm willing to say
world-class finishes for sure. Like,
unbelievable finishing.
Yeah.
United
that Nunez header, the one with like the back
dude.
of his head, Dobes and I looked at each other and we're like, dude, Nunez misses sitters and then scores ridiculous goals that he has no business scoring. Like, it's the weirdest thing. But
Gakpo's chip finish,
that was gross. It was gross.
I also you can go ahead. I was gonna
well, you say that it's demoralizing. It is. I think that's true. And call it a spin zone, call it whatever you want. I'm glad that we have a game in 3 days to right the ship. And I'm glad that the players are going to turn back up, because, last year, whenever, guys were sending out their, apology tweets and Instagram posts from United, and, I wanted the season to end as quickly as possible. And now I'm like, let's go again on Thursday. Let's get right back after it. What I will say about Luke Shaw is he has been the best left back this season, and he's done it at center back. He's done it at left back. Yesterday was shambolic from him. And I think some of the pushes, the tackles were sheerly out of frustration. And it was almost as if no one took the reins to just say, like, get your fucking head on straight. And to be honest with you, again, we're not inside of Carrington. We'll never know what happens. I would put a lot of money of Ten Hag pulling Bruno aside today in training and pulling him into his office and saying, like, if you're going to wear that armband, never again are you going to let like an absolute like dismantling happen like that. Because I think it's learning for a leader. You would hope that the guy that wears the armband would have that already. It wasn't a great captain showing yesterday, but I have no reason to believe that Bruno Fernandes is not the right guy to wear the armband. I mean, the numbers are there, the stats are there. We win 63% of games that he's wearing the armband. We've only lost 14% of games that he's wearing the armband. Compare that to Maguire when he wears the armband. It's terrible. But what a
I think
weird
the
game.
issue is more his attitude. I don't think it was any, Maguire sucks. Like, we can watch Maguire run around with his head cut off like all game, but he never really, he always still kind of had that, what I view as like, those sturdy English center backs are always kind of been leaders. Like, he may be a leader of people, even if he's not like the player that anyone needs him to be. So I still think, and I'm not giving him, like, I don't think you should strip the captaincy. I'm not team any of that, but I don't think Maguire's going to do that. I think Maguire's still going to be yelling at people. He's still going to be trying to keep people back in the game. Like, you didn't see that from Bruno. He just wasn't his game. And I don't think it's, a huge issue for him. I think he's going to be fine, but it sucks to watch, I would imagine, from your guys' vantage point too.
I think that with Bruno, it's interesting because I like the way he approached the second half of that game and the antics. Like, obviously it's embarrassing, but I also think that same like fiery passion and stuff is like what makes him good. It's like that John Rahm thing where he's like, I need to go to that place where I'm pissed the fuck off in order to be my best. And I think that's just Bruno letting that energy go to the wrong place. Because like when he's at his best, he's like, you still see him flopping for fouls and arguing and yelling and screaming at the ref and screaming at people. But that's also what makes him so good. On Sunday, he just let it get the best of him. I don't know if you guys saw it. He like pushed the ref.
Yeah, I saw that with Shaw.
Yeah, there was
the ref almost did something, but then he just kind of moved on.
Yeah, I mean, the ref put his hand on him first. Not that it's an excuse, but like there was like rumors he was going to get suspended. But like he just needs to control that more. And he hasn't been a captain at like United. He's still not even really the captain. So he's growing and learning and maturing into that role. Second half Sunday was just as embarrassing as it fucking gets from him now.
Yeah, I will always back though. Whether it be Luke Shaw or De Gea or Bruno, I will always respect that they will come out, they face the media, they take accountability. Luke Shaw, right after the game, talked to the media and took every single ounce of accountability for each one of those goals. And that doesn't right the ship. That doesn't that doesn't cover up the fact that he was at fault for, I think, like 4 of the 7 goals. That doesn't make it better, but he will always come out and face the noise.
Dude.
I mean, he'll always come out and face the noise, and he will always have an honest assessment of how he's doing. Tough watch.
I will say the final thing I'll end on that's pretty funny is Rashford sent out an apology today, an apology tweet. I don't know if anybody saw this.
Yeah.
He sent out an apology tweet, and then somebody typed in like in chat GPT, like, give me a tweet for after a tough soccer loss. And it was word for word exactly what Rashford tweeted was.
Shut up, bro.
That's incredible.
That's hilarious.
I also, before we move on, I do want to say, with Butchie not being here, Bobby Firmino scoring a goal while all the rumors of him about to leave Liverpool, I thought was pretty cool. So just wanted to give him a little shout out before we moved on. The next game we'll talk.
Hold on, and Mohamed Salah broke the goal record for players at Liverpool, I believe, the second goal he scored against you guys. So props, congratulations to
that's a huge
the
deal.
Egyptian king for breaking that record as well.
Which
would hate us if we didn't mention that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not a better team to do it against either.
All right, another game that had a lot of goals. Arsenal versus Bournemouth. A 3-2 final for the Gunners. Late dramatics in this one. I'm not going to lie. I had to rewatch this one because it was at the same time as the Chelsea game. I did catch the ending. But, Winks, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, in the words of our leader, Mikel Arteta, when it's ugly and when it's difficult, that's what big teams do, baby. And, I'm sure most of you guys saw that game besides Nick, but Bournemouth scored like 1 minute in, and I was like,
11 seconds.
Right? Yeah, I was going to say
it was 11.
Sorry,
I watched the highlights.
I think it was 9. Yeah.
Shut up.
It was within the first. It was within the first minute. So that was disheartening, knowing that we're traditionally, especially this season, a team that comes out hot. So for a team to do that against us, put us on our heels immediately. And then, we still possessed the heck out of them per usual. And then they scored a second shortly into the second half. My heart definitely sank a little bit when that second one came. I thought that, it's one in the first half early on. We'll have plenty of time to, level it or potentially go up before the first half is over. But without scoring in the second half and then them scoring in like the 57th minute, heart definitely sank. Thankfully, Thomas Partey, who was one of the players of the game for me, got us rolling almost immediately after, scored off a corner kick inside the 6. I think Smith Rowe headed the ball back into the 6 off a corner, and Partey put it in. So Partey was phenomenal overall. That match for me really led us forward from the midfield, and starting the scoring run was massive. I want to give shouts to Zinchenko again too. He was so calm on the ball at super key moments, was always looking for the forward pass, and man, is it cool to just watch him navigate the pitch. I feel like we talk about it every other episode, but it's something that we rarely see, if at all, from left backs, the way that he can, the way that Xhaka can cover for him when he needs to, and the way that Zinchenko can play within our system and at some points be out on the right wing. Even though he's left back, I think that it's cool that our system allows him to move like that and makes us unpredictable to a lot of defenses, because they don't know how to necessarily defend when you've got, 3 strikers and Odegaard all up top, and then Zinchenko's just, you have no idea where he's going to be at any time. So that was really cool. We were down but never out. Sucked to see Leandro Trossard go down and out with a knock early. I think he's going to be out for 3 weeks or so. But it was cool to see Smith Rowe get some first team minutes for the first time in a while. He played with our U21s. We talked about it on the Mecca Moments, but he played with Kiwior for the first half in one of our U21 games last week. Did really well. Did well on Saturday too. Again, he assisted Partey's goal, so that was neat too. But I feel like we also talk about this, every other week as well, but big clubs lose to teams that they shouldn't throughout the season all the time. And so for me, that
Look
happens.
at yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. But at some point we knew that United wasn't as good as they've been playing, and Liverpool weren't as bad as they've been playing. So that was just kind of that was bound to happen at some point. But the best teams persevere when they go down like that, and seeing the fight in those boys all the way through the end of extra time made me so proud to support this club. And all you guys shake your heads, but
the Spurs had the exact same result in the exact same fashion at Bournemouth. I'm not saying they're some big club, but
no, but that's
late win.
And even though it is Tottenham, that's got to give you a good feeling inside when your club goes down like that and finds a way to fight back, whether it's in extra time or even before that time comes. We continue to put pressure on them forward. We continue to possess and try and create big chances, and that was really cool. And it was something that it was a massive extra 2 points that we needed in that moment. Reece Nelson is him. 3 goals and 2 assists in 84 Premier League minutes this season. He's the definition of the guy that you want on your team to come on as a sub and make an instant impact. He hasn't played a ton of minutes for us this season, but I think that we all agree, whether a player rarely comes on or as a consistent sub, the impact that he made is one that we would all love to have in a game like that. When you're down and can come on and get a goal and an assist in a crucial game to get 3 points. So Lord knows we've all been there at some point. But nonetheless,
one thing you did mention was extra time, and I did want to mention this because after the Chelsea game, it broke to the Arsenal Bournemouth game, and it was +6 on the time. But when I joined, it was in the 97th, and then you scored in the 98th. So I was just wondering how much you guys paid the ref to extend your
No, I get that. And had you watched more of extra time, you would have seen that the Bournemouth players were taking their sweet time every time they got the ball or they got a throw in or their goalie got the ball. So it was one of those things where
So
Say what?
extra time. Okay.
Yeah, one of those. I mean,
Gotcha.
it's not my decision when to call the game in extra time. But
Oh, yeah.
if the ref saw that
AM enough?
Bournemouth players were trying to run out the clock in extra time and felt like an extra 30 seconds or minute was necessary based on what he called initially, then he has every right to do that.
Yeah,
I was just shocked that corner was allowed.
this is in. We kind of have it with the Mecca moments, but like this game is one of those where we talk about these moments. It's sort of like define a season, and like the comeback. First off, it was a fantastic live bet. I don't know if anybody else hopped on that.
Down 1 and down 2. Thank
but
you.
That Reece Nelson, like the funniest part about that game is that moment is like that we have the chance to win the title. It's that Aguero moment. It's that moment that like you would think that like Arsenal fans are just all over jacked up. And then like not even 30 seconds after that goal happened, they were thinking about United. I had text of comparing Reece Nelson to Jadon Sancho, text comparing him to Anthony. It's like, you just had a potential Aguero moment. And the thing that you're thinking about is Manchester fucking United. Like Arsenal.
That's a pretty big generalization, brother. I can't say that I was thinking about. I was thinking about Sporting Lisbon on Thursday. I was thinking about.
Always comes back to it. Always comes
I was
back
thinking
to
about 5 points ahead of City.
It's I had it from 3 Arsenal
You can
fans.
speak for a few with receipts, but don't speak for all of us, brother. The only thing I had on my mind with regard to United was their traffic cone performance.
There's a few
was going to happen.
There's a few good Arsenal fans. You may be one of them, but you need to get control of the other Arsenal fans who got United on their mind 24/7. Because I got plenty of receipts, and for those listening, yes, I'm talking about you.
And
nonetheless,
the team that's
3
on
points.
Every United's mind is Chelsea. So moving on, Chelsea versus Leeds. 1-0, finally on the win column in the scorebook. But that's pretty much all I have for it. And pretty much my only thought.
Oh, hold on, real quick. I saw this incredible tweet that said Mo Salah has more yellow cards for taking his shirt off this year than Chelsea has goals or something like that. Is
incredible.
That right? Yeah.
Love that.
That's awesome.
That was such a sick stat. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, 6 stat. We scored on a corner kick / dead ball, so not even in the run of play. I think it's pretty obvious. I think I've talked about it many times with the way Chelsea's been playing lately and with Graham Potter. It's boring. We have no identity. We have no creativity in the final third. I truly think the only reason we didn't allow goals is because Chilwell was playing and not Cucurella. I think we were turning the ball over more in their offensive or in our offensive third and not our defensive third, like we would with Cucurella passing the ball back every single time. So I think that added a little bit to our team dynamic, but moving forward past that point, I didn't really see much. Fofana getting up and being an athlete is awesome. It reminded me of like Zuma back in the day with Frankie Lampard. But yeah,
did you just highlight that your turnovers just came higher up the field?
Yes,
as opposed to
I did.
In the field?
Yes, that is
okay.
Where
I was just doubling down on that.
Friends, we're living in the era of grasping at straws. Holy fuck! What an analysis!
Serious. I'm being dead serious. I'm grasping at straws when I watched that game. It was super boring. In the final third, I mean, João Felix is our only bright spot. Like he had one that hit the post, which was nice, but like I don't know. It's boring to watch right now.
Saying it hit the post is doing it a disservice. He fucking smacked that ball. It rattled off the crossbar. I know, but man, I don't know if you could connect with the ball sweeter on that.
I don't have the stats in front of me, but do we have another secret agent?
No, we're so close though. Tomorrow.
We almost got another secret agent. All right, so
in addition to Ten Hag.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was so funny because we've been giving Butch shit about. We gave Butch shit about Gakpo for so long, and then he scored in his 7th game, and then all of a sudden Butch can send it right back with the Ten Hag stat.
Yeah. I feel like we missed a moment talking about the United game about like how I think like the best memes we've seen all year erupted out of that game. I mean, honestly, I've seen some of the funniest things I've ever seen on
Yeah,
Dude, so funny.
Twitter's undefeated.
But Nick, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
In hockey, a lot of times whenever teams or players specifically are going through a score drought, and they score, it's like they have a saying called like you're getting the monkey off your back.
Yeah.
Do you see that goal going in while it is from a center back and your forwards still haven't done anything and you're still missing a lot of shots and you're not hitting the net and you're turning balls over all areas of the field and you're still not that good? Do you see that goal being the monkey off your back? Do you think that that's going to open the floodgates, or are you still seeing like, you think?
Absolutely. No, I don't think it will at all. And I think it's kind of what I was saying before. It was a dead ball goal. We haven't scored a goal in the run of play. Haven't been able to for a while now. I also think, I don't know if Jake mentioned it last pod when he was defending us after that atrocious performance against Tottenham, but I think I'm fully on the Potter out train. After the lineup that I saw and the performance against Leeds, and this is coming off us winning. Like that's what hurts me the most is like we got.
You would never
points.
have guessed that you guys won.
I know, bro. We got 3 points. We finally scored, and I'm telling you, like the way we played just like brings me no hope. Like I was Sterling starting, and while we have a $90 million Mudryk on the bench, just absolutely blows my mind. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. Kai Havertz in the starting lineup, I've been defending him, or I used to defend him a whole bunch. He needs to get out because I've seen what a quality attacking midfielder looks like now with João Felix, and Kai just isn't cutting it anymore. And the fact that Potter is consistently starting them now just absolutely blows my mind. And
Jake finally converted you.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was thinking about it today. It reminds me of when Frank Lampard was coach, and like we had the talent but no identity at all. Yeah. And then Tuchel kind of came in and immediately implemented that. I think that's kind of what we're missing. I haven't seen Potter's style of play. I know Henry has mentioned it before. No identity with Potter yet. Like I still haven't seen it, and I was hoping for that to arise. But yeah, haven't seen it yet, and it's kind of boring to watch.
One positive I think we have to bring up, it's that CP's healthy in the Champions League squad, which is
absolutely
which
was going to get to that when we were talking about.
Yeah, I think the other positive. I think the other positive for you, Nick, is that like the Conference League anthem fucking slaps, dude.
Dude, it's a banger.
So you better get used to listening to that, my friend.
I mean, hey, if they're lucky,
we're still in the Champions League right now.
You're tied for 11th, big dog.
Hey, Champions League.
Well, can't wait to talk on Wednesday.
True. All right.
Bounce out of the Champions League in 11th place.
The next game, someone who did not get 3 points like the United boys, Tottenham Hotspurs versus Wolves. 1-0 loss. Andy, what are your thoughts on this roller coaster that is Tottenham Hotspurs?
And that's, yep. And you just took it out of my mouth, man. It is the roller coaster. I also don't have too much to say today. I blacked out for like 60 minutes of that game. I had just no thoughts at all about what happened. We got wolved. It was a Wolves masterclass. When you talk about holding it down from the back, Spurs aren't exactly the most. They're not the most adept at breaking down low blocks, so that's not something that they look great in any week. And then to watch Adama Traore score a missile off the crossbar and in was just like, how many times has he done that in his career, bro? And I think he has 2 against Spurs and in his unbelievable career goal scoring record of 8. And if I remember correctly, both of them were misses. So leaving that game 0-0 would have been would have been a disappointment too. It was a miserable watch. Sonny's off it. It's hard to watch Sonny now after I would tell you that he's been one of my favorite players ever for years. It's been a bummer to watch that decline. Yeah, I mean, an opportunity to go 3 points up with Newcastle dropping points, completely thrown out. They want top 4? Who knows? We rested a bunch of players against Sheffield to go ahead in the FA Cup, which is a trophy that they had a really good opportunity to maybe achieve, and they lost to Sheffield. Like that was maybe one of the lowest points I've had for it. I wasn't even excited to watch Wolves. I woke up, turned it on in bed, and half-ass watched it for 70 minutes. But when they lost to Sheffield, dude, like that was demoralizing. Like this is it. No one thinks we're gonna win this Champions League. No one's, we're 1-0 down to AC Milan coming home. The only teams left were City and someone else who's semi-relevant. You guys, whatever. And like there was an opportunity. There was an opportunity there, and they just absolutely pissed it away with the lineup. That none of them showed up to play either. But fourth place, man, we're there. So
Do you guys have a timeline for when Conte is coming back? The sidelines or anything like that?
I don't really know. I frankly haven't heard much from it. I haven't tracked on it. I think he's back in London because he's been in Italy, like at his house with his family. So he's back in London, but I don't think he's set to go on the sidelines yet. I will say, when he came back the first time, he looked horrible. Like absolutely a skeletal ghost version of himself. Like he was not prepared to be there. But at the end of the day, we can sit here and talk about Stellini. I like Stellini. I do think there's an added bonus of him not being the boss that helps the players on the field. But at the end of the day,
the student teacher giving the exam.
Hey man, I'm telling you, they were always rooting for you, right? There was less scaries there, but he's taking every word from Conte. Like the only thing that he could have changed, I think, were in game decisions, but he's everything that he does, Conte's just directing him to do. So I'm almost to the point of like, let's just get to the end of the season. I'm obviously hoping for top 4. I think Champions League helps any club immensely, no matter what. I don't think it makes or breaks transfer windows because you've got teams that aren't in Europe right now that still have some of that pull. But it definitely helps. It's more fun. I want to be higher off the table. Yes, this is all great. It's not the season that anyone wanted, but we move. It is what it is.
I think for anybody that doesn't follow Young Yid on Twitter, like follow just to follow along with Hoove tweeting during Spurs games.
It's the best.
It's fucking hilarious. You can you don't have to check the score. Put Fop Mob down. Just look at Hoove's Twitter. I think Hoove, you got to mention Lucas Moura, because what you told me Saturday about Lucas Moura was the fun.
So
stopped around to Turkish clubs, and then he gets stopped.
Dude, we've got Danjuma on the bench. We got a $90 million or $60 million Richarlison on the bench who, maybe not firing, whatever. The guy that we told this week that he wasn't good enough to re-sign for Spurs, they were not going to offer him an extension, and they've already been talking to like Galatasaray and Turkish clubs about his transfer, was the first sub on the field against Wolves. The first sub. There's so many other players on that team that should have come in, and we taking Lucas Moura, who's been hurt for 80% of the season, who had one really good season in 2019, and we're just going to let him run around. And to be fair, he looked okay, but that was not the right call. That's unbelievable. He's been going to Turkey. We just got who's Danjuma? What did Danjuma come in on loan for, to play 10 minutes in an FA Cup and then get bounced from the tournament? Insane player decisions.
Scored a goal though, so that was cool.
Yeah, good for him. I got to see this thing once, or whatever that snake celebration is. So
unreal.
All righty. So the other 2 games that I kind of want to mention, we don't have representation of anyone from the Mecca for them. Manchester City versus Newcastle, 2-0 win for City. Obviously, I think they're kind of still in that title race. I also wanted to I have a note. I watched a little bit of it and also watched the highlights afterwards. But Phil Foden, I've always been so high on him. I think he's in insane form right now. Had a goal against Newcastle, and I really like Phil Foden the way he plays.
I think it's interesting that I saw not even 2 or 3 weeks ago, just reports or questions that Pep had been asked, and Pep always doubles down on Phil's that guy. Like, I promise you. Like, Pep doesn't, I think sometimes his decisions when he plays teams are not always as clear as they are to him, but his doubled down confidence in Phil Foden, and then to watch him come back and still actually be that guy that he said he was, it's cool to like, you feel good sometimes for guys like that if they go through a streak of confidence and then can, come back and back it up. You feel good for those guys for sure. Young guys too.
Yeah, has 4 goals and an assist in the last 3 games. He is in his bag at the moment.
I just looked up that Ten Hag quote on him. It's at his age, Phil Foden is the most talented player I have ever seen as a player, and as a coach, he has everything to become one of the best.
Yeah, man's quality.
High praise.
Yep. The other game that I kind of wanted to mention before we move to our segment of weekly flowers and weekly showers, Brighton versus West Ham. 4-0 Brighton over West Ham. Just kind of wanted to highlight that because, geez, West Ham has been putting up some crazy performances and score lines this year.
Matoma from Brighton is that dude. He's just so good. Scoring goals, drawing penalties. He's awesome. We've praised him a bunch on this podcast. Interesting storylines coming out about Declan Rice in the last week. About perhaps a little overrated. We all know that he has a 100+ pound transfer fee attached to his name. But Roy Keane came out this week and just basically laid into him saying that, like, I don't see a 100 million pound player there when I watch. He is far too little to his game to be worth that kind of money. And they've just been getting battered this year. They are not in a good place. They are, what are they? 1 point above the drop. West Ham is not in a good place.
Nobody's worth 100 million if you get relegated, bro.
100%. 100%.
I think it's a combination of West Ham being where they are, but also just like we have to continue to give credit to Brighton. Like losing their manager. I don't know why. To me, Matoma seems like a Liverpool player. Like I don't know. I just feel like he seems like he would fit Klopp's, and I hope he doesn't because I do love him and I would hate to hate him. But he like every single. I genuinely, it's one of those I watch. Like Brighton one to watch the style of play, but I watch to watch him a lot of times that I watch Brighton. It's just to see Matoma play because he's fucking absolutely special and his story is incredible.
What's scary with Brighton is they have 3 games at hand right now, and they're still sitting in 8th place.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that they will because I don't know what their next 3 fixtures are, but let's just say they take 9 points from that. They're catapulted into the top 4 race solidly. So that's a scary, scary thing.
Leeds, Crystal Palace, and Brentford. So 3 very winnable games at that.
Be some dogfights.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that was our weekly recap segment of all of the games in the Premier League. Another game I think that we have on the list that we kind of wanted to talk about a little bit, we may be doing a Mecca moments for it as well, was the St. Louis City versus Charlotte FC game.
Let's go.
We also had a great representation from the Mecca at the game. Cheers to you boys who were able to go to the game. A 3-1 win, and we are 2-0 as an MLS side, boys.
We're winning the league.
Are we gonna win?
We're winning the league.
We're winning the league. I'm in.
100%.
We're winning the league. It's
All right.
unbelievable.
We're in there.
All right, we love it.
I mean, it was so much fun. Anytime St. Louis gets together to do something for St. Louis, it's so fun. Like everyone just buys in on the same thing, and it's cool to be on the same side of a soccer team with my friends. That's electric.
Yeah, that was something so funny.
Literally never been a part of my life ever. You pick a side from a country that's not even close to us, and then we banter about it for forever. I love that. But to be in the stadium, like bantering Charlotte fans with my buddies, that was electric. Like not really an event that we have gotten to do and actually have like a reason to be supporting them for. That was so much fun. It's MLS, and I think it's on the up for the most part. I think there's a lot of really good things to be said about it. It's not the Premier League. No one's going to sit here and say it is. And if that's what you're viewing it on, I think that's a tough shake of the stick for them because no one's going to be the Premier League. No one's going to be the Serie A. It just is what it is. But for what we saw and what we had, man, that was some of the most fun I've ever had. That was awesome.
I think Henry described it best as energy drink soccer. Like to a T, that's exactly how we play.
They fought so hard against that term since it got said the first time. The club's been like, no.
Yeah, but I loved watching the dogfight of the game. There were, I don't even know how many yellow cards there were in that game. There were so many tackles, potential red. Berkey, who I'm still not sold on, but Berkey, getting into the face of 9 on Charlotte. It was fun. I'm so glad that we got to see an actual goal, and it wasn't just the own goal that was scored. Our 2 goals that we actually scored were class. No keeper in the world is stopping that pen. And then we're 2 for 2 so far of teams just absolutely gifting us goals with backwards passes to our strikers. I'm down for that. If we can continue that, I would not be mad. But yeah, I'm excited to dive more into it with the Mecca moments because it really deserves our time and energy to talk about.
Absolutely. And moving on to the next segment, the weekly flowers and showers. Our very own Mr. Andy Hoover is going to be giving us that this week.
Did we start with flowers last time, or did we start with showers?
I started flowers.
We started
All
flowers.
right. I'll keep it on this side of the pond. Edwin Lowen is a center mid for St. Louis City SC, and he has been on the team of the week now for 2 weeks in a row on the first 2 weeks of the MLS season. He was a former Hoffenheim project. Don't fully quote me on that. He played a decent amount for the U21s and U23s of Germany. And I think our sporting director at St. Louis City, Lutz, found a diamond in the rough. This guy has been balling, and we've only watched him play for 180 minutes. But he sees the field, he connects balls. He's in spaces. He fills the middle and distributes really, really well. And I think it's cool to see the national media actually acknowledge that from an MLS perspective. And I think sometimes guys will just get overshadowed because they score goals. But he really was the machine that made it all tick. So it's cool to have someone on your side like that and be able to get to root for with the city that you live in on their chest. So flowers to Edwin Lowen, man of the match, stud. Showers, I had a whole list of guys I could have given showers to. We could have gone Conte, we could have gone with Charleston, we could have gone Sonny, but none of them lost 7-0.
Thank you.
And none of them wore the band in a performance that they can't sit down and defend. So Bruno Mars,
ladies and gentlemen, the way you are.
The way he lets it sing on the pitch, baby, you never know. It might have been Bruno Mars, but Bruno Fernandes, really, really, really disappointing. And do I think that loss determines him as a player in the future? Absolutely not. I think he's quality. I think he's really, really good. And I don't think that was a representative performance or attitude from him. I do think Dove said it earlier that he is that fiery, hot-headed type guy, which I defend in a lot of other players, and I'll defend it in him too. He let it get the best of him. He threw hissy fits, which is why a lot of people around the world find him to be an annoying player to watch. Another one of those guys you want on your team and not to play against ever. But he threw a lot of hissy fits, down 7-0 to United.
He typically does it, but that was bad for him.
It was bad. It was bad.
He does it when we're up 3-0, and then he down 7-0.
Yeah. So he's
consistent.
He's consistent. Yeah.
I guess so.
Give him
Bogey will piggyback. I'm sure he'll get a kick out of this one too. But he definitely does not love the Bruno antics, and I think for good reason. I think that's fair. Not everyone does.
Same thing.
But great player, not his day.
Bogey has the Bruno antics. Bogey is the Bruno antics. But I agree. Hit the fucking showers, Bruno. Not your week this week, buddy.
Hit the showers.
Not your weekend, I will say.
So,
not your weekend.
Flowers and showers, lads.
Love that. It. Another segment for our weekly flowers and showers. I love it, Andy Hoover. Let us know what you guys think of that segment. I like it a lot. I think it's a good one, and we're going to continue going on. Hopefully next week we'll get a new one going. Something that Bruno Fernandes is not playing in is the Champions League. So let's do a little preview of those games. The first one, obviously, we can talk about is Chelsea versus Dortmund. Chelsea is down 1-0 to
Dortmund by a zillion.
This game is at the Bridge, which I think
The
is
bouncy house.
Yeah,
The bouncy house, the fun house.
it's very interesting. One thing I will say, and Dobes kind of mentioned it before, CP being in the lineup kind of gives me a little happiness. Even if he's coming off the bench, I think he can provide a spark for us. There's that word that I've been trying to use and have not seen Chelsea do for us yet. I also think this is kind of all or nothing. So it's a must win for us.
1,000%.
If we lose this game, I might black out for the rest of the season because it's really not looking good. So I'm hoping Potter figures it out because I think his head may be on the chopping block. This is a must win for us if we want to have any chance of playing in Europe next year, in my opinion. Like, we have to do something in the Champions League. Do I think it's possible? Hey, I think our team in 2020 when we won it was about the same talent level as this. Not saying we were playing the same and we were in a better spot, but talent level alone, I've seen crazy
on
things.
paper.
Yes,
we got
it's a must win.
How many games, if any, did CP play when Potter first came in? Like, so is this like a new audition for him? You know what I mean? Like, or is this like he's seen him for a little bit? Like,
he came off the bench. I don't know if this is exact. I'd have to go back and look at exact, but I'm pretty sure he subbed on like in the 60th minute for 2 games. Then he got hurt in the second one.
So he's like playing for his Chelsea future a little bit.
Yes.
Going
yes.
Forward.
Well,
yeah.
I think he's, and I don't know if this, once again, I think I just saw it on Twitter, but I almost think CP announced that he was leaving. Like, he was already going to leave in the summer.
What?
It could just be Chelsea Twitter fucking with my head and seeing all these Real Madrid rumors, but I've been seeing that CP is probably gone. So as far as him trying out, I think it's more of him like trying to earn a price tag.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, tough team to do it against.
Absolutely.
I do not like your chances against Dortmund.
I will say one thing. You guys said the same thing going into the first game, and if you told me that a 1-0 result against Dortmund away was what we were going to have coming into the Bridge, I would be super happy.
You're still in it. You're still in it.
Yeah, absolutely. We have something to play for.
I was before that game. We were sitting here. I was like, money line.
Yeah, 3-0, 4-0.
Again. Like, we were just sitting there and I was like so through and through Dortmund. And then I watched that entire game and they got lucky. Like, Chelsea should have had some goals. So it's wild for me to sit here and be like, I think Dortmund has this in a bag again, because I don't think they do. Being at home's a huge benefit in Europe, but there's also not a ton to get excited about either. Like, you hope again for a close one, because at the very least you can get, Fofana on a corner kick and put one away, and then we got extra time, right? So I think it's super, super interesting. I do think it's going to be really tight. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I have a prediction, because I truthfully don't.
We have to respect Dortmund though. Like, I think there's an argument that over the last,
they're first in the Bundesliga.
I was gonna say, I think there's an argument over the last month and a half that they're one of the top 3 best teams in the world. Like, I think there's a genuine conversation. I think they've won 10 in a row, 11 on the bounce or something like that.
Yeah, they were 7 coming into when they played us the first.
Yeah, I think they're probably at 10 now then. So, like, their form is one of those that, like, yes, it's away. Yes, it's a tough place to play. But, like, just the form that they're in, they're just rolling right now. And
the form that we're in, great.
That's kind of what you have. So you think Dortmund, but at the same time, like, just like Hoop said, you guys had chances in the first leg.
Absolutely. So. I was gonna say, like, we lost against Dortmund, but our performance against Dortmund was better than Leeds, even though we won a 1-0 against Leeds, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think it's a must win. So I mean, I have to go 2-0 Chelsea.
What do you think? You lose? Is he gone?
I would hope so, but it's one of those things where, like, there's been so many like bad results recently that I thought he would have already been sacked for. So, like, I'm thinking they're kind of backing him until the end of the year is what I'm assuming. But, like, I would have gotten rid of him a while ago.
Only reason I asked, because my prediction last week was that he was gone after the Dortmund game.
Yep, we'll see.
Yeah, I think,
to be fair, if we lose, I want
gone.
him gone. I want him gone before, to be fair.
I would have wanted him gone a while ago too, but the thing for me is, and I know that, was it last pod for Factor Cap we talked about when Potter would be sacked.
That was last pod.
You guys have to turn around and play Leicester on Saturday or Sunday this week. So if you guys lose against Dortmund on Wednesday, I don't see him getting sacked right away because you guys only have a few days before Leicester. So, but then after that, you guys get a week until your next Premier League game and no games during the week. So I'd say it's very dependent on the result.
Frank Lampard
Result against Leicester
after a 3-1 win against Leicester. So,
but he was also like, he got sacked by a monarch. Or
yeah, when we were in 8th and still doing well in the Champions League. And look where we're at now.
Todd Bowley isn't buddying up with Putin. So, like, Todd Bowley isn't that guy. He doesn't have the stones like that.
Freaking Putin's homeboy.
Oh, he ain't the Glazers. Quit your shit. All right. But so I wanted to hear your guys' predictions. What are you guys thinking? Like, I want to hear actual score lines. Like, are you thinking that we pull this through, or are you thinking it's going to be a Dortmund advance?
1-1 Dortmund on penalties.
Yeah.
Or 1-1 Dortmund through on goals.
Yeah, I was gonna go.
That's
2-2.
Exactly what I think. I think it's a
2-2
1-1 Dortmund advances.
So everyone Dortmund.
Yeah, the away rules
you're
gone.
No, I'm not. I wasn't saying against it.
And I'm not calling you. I'm just saying. Yeah,
it's the general.
Outside of being a Chelsea fan, outside of being a Chelsea fan, anybody in their right mind picks Dortmund here.
Yeah, we also said 3-4-0 first game. Just
the last thing I want to say about Chelsea is if you win this game and you do advance, like, where's your confidence level? Are you still like, say you win 2-1, you know, like,
yeah.
or say you win 3, I guess it'd be 3-1, but like,
you want me to be honest with you? I think my confidence level is kind of rising a little bit. It also depends on like how we win. Like, is it like
not the result, but the performance?
Yes. Like, how do we put in a decent performance against Dortmund? The only reason I say I kind of have a little bit of confidence is because we can, like, I know this sounds so shitty, but like, we can fully focus on the Champions League. Like obviously the Premier League, we're in 10th. Like, it's going to be a stretch, but like, we can fully focus on trying to win the Champions League and put all of our eggs in one basket.
That's
and
fair.
Hope that we do something that we've done in the past.
That's fair.
All righty. Moving on from Chelsea, though, another juicy game. Bayern versus PSG. Bayern right now is leading 1-0. One thing I will say to start it out, Neymar being out, having to get surgery on his ankles. How big of an effect on this game do you guys think that would be?
That sucks.
He's been incredible this year, especially when he's been healthy, man. And it sucks.
Yeah, I think it affects the game, but like, he's been out for weeks now. Like, this isn't the first game he's missed, but to your point, Lucas, like, he has been incredible this year when he's played. But like, since coming back from the World Cup, he's hardly played. I think he's played a couple of games and that's it.
He's that one for me that, like, and by no means saying that he could reach like Messi, Ronaldo level, but like, he's that one that without all of the different injuries that he's gone through, like, I think he could be as close as it gets. Because like, when he's healthy, when he's on, and when he's like in the form that he's been in before, he's one of the best players in the world, and it's so apparent. So obviously he's going to be a major loss, but for this game specifically, like, I don't know what to expect out of PSG. Like, every time I watch them, they're like, okay, like Mbappe will do something pretty cool, but then like they leak in goals like it's nothing. It's like, I really don't know what to expect. And Bayern hasn't exactly looked great either. So I think that Bayern taking that point or that goal away from the first game is massive, because I could see like a 1-1 or 2-2 game here, but Bayern goes through just because of the first leg.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Something I do want to say, though, similar to kind of have Chelsea, is this like a must win for PSG? Like, I feel like they've only been talking about the Champions League and how they haven't won that trophy. They buy Messi, they splash the cash. I mean, not as much as we did, but they obviously spent a shit ton of money to try and go for this title. Like, if they don't win it, like, what happens? And I think, Dobes, you brought up a good point. I don't know which pod it was. Like, is this Messi's last go at it? Like, I feel like this is a huge game that I'm very excited to see. And I could see going either way, because I think both sides are very good teams.
I think this is Messi's last game.
You
I
think?
think he is playing at City Park downtown St. Louis on July the 14th for Inter Miami away. So
Would be so lit.
that is my prediction. I think Bayern get through, and then Messi leaves at the end of the season, and we get to watch him in the United States.
Could you imagine? Because like he's like not a shoe in, but he's almost a lock for the Ballon d'Or. And then like all of a sudden he for last year, of course, but then all of a sudden in the summer he's he's playing at City Park,
It'd be nuts. That'd be
going
nuts.
going up against Joao Klaus.
Insane.
Dude, as much as I think that PSG, I don't know what to get with them. I also don't know what to get with Bayern Munich. They've been rocky this year as well. I'm going to back Bayern Munich here. Only because with PSG, I feel like I'm betting on two players, Mbappe and Messi, to like turn up like a full performance. They're just not a team, bro. Like they don't play well with one another. I have no idea what's going on with Hakimi and the law. So who knows if he'll play. And then you have a lot of guys who are either past their prime or just aren't cut out for like the big games. I want PSG to win because I want to watch Messi in the Champions League as long as possible. But like this was like the most underwhelming game of the first leg. I was so excited about this game in particular, and it was the most boring thing I had watched. So I think I'm taking Bayern here. I don't know what the score is going to be. It could very easily be a 0-0 game and they advance on a 1-goal aggregate, but I think Bayern win.
I agree. I think I would take Bayern as well. I also want to give a shout out that I think I was telling you, Henry, that a player that I just love to watch is Kimmich. Like I think he is so quality and so underrated. I think he really started that Cole Zinchenko thing, like a wingback kind of being in the midfield type situation. So I just have nothing but praise for them. But I agree with you, Hen. I want to see PSG advance. I want to see Messi win another Champions League, and like I want all of that, but I think Bayern has a good side right now. And once again, I agree with you. The first round was boring, like the matchup stylistically, just it's not an exciting football game. So I could as well see like a low scoring 1-0, 0-0 game. All right. The other Champions League game that we wanted to hit on is none other than the Tottenham Hotspurs against AC Milan. Andy Hoover, how we feeling over there?
Fine.
We're fine.
1-0 loss at the San Siro on like a fifth. I don't even remember what goal it was. It was a scrappy, right in front of net. Someone just latched a diving header on a bouncing ball. So I didn't feel like awful about how they played away. Keeping it 1-0 is fine. They had chances in that game too. I think the stadium's going to show out. The fans are going to show out. It'll be a great atmosphere. I think they could come away with it at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the stadium that they refuse to sell the naming rights for, even though they play the broke card when it comes to everything else. So
I have to tell you, I was doing the outline and I had to look up the name of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And right when I looked it up, I started laughing and giggling and remembered that you said that.
Dude, I just wish it was the lane. It was so much more fun.
Well, that's what I wrote. I wrote White Hart Lane. I'm like, wait, I don't think that's the case anymore.
I know, but $1 billion stadium should be bouncing. So, they got fans in it at least. That's cool. Can say that for more than some other clubs in the league, but
Yeah, I think it's interesting with this one because as far as like with Chelsea, like it's almost like a must win for us, and like with Tottenham, I don't think it's as crazy as a must win with you guys in fourth, and possibly like still fighting for Champions League in the Prem. So I'm actually really intrigued by this one. Like I want to know like what the effort's like from Tottenham and what they come out with, because as we know, you've talked about it and mentioned it multiple times. It's a roller coaster, and you guys just had a bad one. So what's after that?
Yeah, one of the things that every time I get sad about this stupid club that I follow, I go and watch the highlights and go through a lot of what that 2019 run where they lost to Liverpool in the final and what Pochettino had. Well, yeah, runner up, hanging in the rafters. But it was interesting because that was one of it was a good team that shouldn't have got that far. and they were bottling performance after performance in the league. They lost. They went on a stretch of like 2 losses, a draw, and a win over 4 games, and they still went to the Champions League final. I don't want that to happen by any means, but like this is why you get the Harry Kanes and the Youngman Sons and the like these guys want to play Champions League. Like this is what they want to do. So I fully expect a pretty wholehearted performance. I think every single one of them has something to prove here. And Conte does too. Conte historically doesn't have a great European record, so he's a serial winner, and he wants to continue to do that. Whether or not it's at this club, we've yet to be seen. But I think they're going to put in a shift. I think they pull this out. I think they get past AC Milan. I think that's a good draw for Spurs in the first round. And then after that, you go step by step. That's exactly what they did in 2019. So interesting matchup. It'll be tight for sure, no question.
Any other score predictions from the lads over here? What are we thinking about, Winks?
I think it's going to be a similar game. Even though it's at home, I still see like a 1-0 AC Milan, and obviously I'm going to be the biggest AC Milan fan in the world that day too.
It would be pretty funny to see like a Zlatan
Oh, that'd be great.
I'd love to see Giroud put in a couple.
Have you guys
send
seen all
AC
of his,
Milan
like,
through to the
recovery
next
stuff?
round? Yeah, I have.
Insane. That man's a robot, I swear.
Yeah,
He is a robot.
He's a freak. I think this is. I'm very much in agreement with Winks. Like I think this is going to be one of those 1-0, 1-1 games. Either way, maybe potential has extra time in it. Like we've seen, it just depends on what Spurs shows up. Like we see who's like personality change every week here because you truthfully don't know what team you're going to get. But like if we do get a good Spurs team, like I wouldn't be surprised to see them win 2-0 or 2-1 or you know what I mean?
Always has
To
a
tie.
go.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's also, it depends on if Sonny decides to show up and be the world class player he is, because he showed it at moments, but just not consistently. So this game is one of the hardest to predict.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong in that. All righty. For the Thursday night games, moving on to the Europa League, United versus Betis. What are your guys' thoughts on that in your next round of the Europa League?
I'll just hit it quick. I don't have too much on it. Bounce back game. I'd hammer United if I was anybody looking out there, because I think it is a bounce back game. Ten Hag's he's a mentality monster. He's been a master at about every single situation that's been thrown his way, no matter how complicated it is. I don't think this will be any different. I will say we always do have trouble with Spanish opposition. Like it's always been a little bit of our kryptonite. We saw it with Villarreal. Barcelona was finally us getting over the hump, but it's weird because like we struggled earlier this year against Sociedad. They beat us.
Mm-hmm.
They won our Europa League group. We just struggle against Spanish competition. So I'd expect a bounce back game, and I expect the United players to sort of do this for the fans, because I think they do owe them after the embarrassment they put all of us through yesterday. But then again, you can't really overlook Betis. Betis is a good side. They've been consistent. We saw how they played against Real. I think we're maybe 2-1. I'd take a 3-1, but bounce back game to where it's an absolute must win, just to say that Sunday was a fluke.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3-0. I think we keep a clean sheet at home. I think we attack. The issue with Betis, and for what it's worth, I like Betis a lot. I watched them quite a bit. Nabil Fekir went down with a torn ACL about 2 weeks ago, and he's the guy that makes everything tick for that team. And it's not to say that, the Betis team is like a bunch of scrubs. They have some really good players on that team. Claudio Bravo, if you remember him from Barcelona and Manchester City, he's their keeper. But they still have some good players. But Fekir is the guy that pulls all the strings. They're not scoring a ton of goals without him, so they can defend. They can get that low block in. They can do that. They can hold teams to 0. But they're not scoring a lot of goals. I just think that United's going to be a little bit more relentless at home with the bounce back. I'm going 3-0.
I definitely agree with you guys and think a bounce back game is kind of going to happen because, like you said, I'm not going to deny that Ten Hag's mentality is good. So I do think that is a possibility. But I do want to ask you guys the question. Let's say it doesn't happen. Let's say you do end up losing this game. Where are your guys' mentals at? Are you guys – I'm not saying – I don't want to say panic button because you're not on a panic button level. But, like,
No.
are you guys like, okay, what the hell is going on? Are you starting to question things? Or where's your guys' mental at if it doesn't go?
We've got 3 losses in our last 33
Yeah.
games.
All right.
I'm very much and I've been that way the entire season, to where like I have said that there will be a time where so many games and in such a short amount of time catches up to us, and I hope that just stays at Sunday. But you kind of like, I'm just trusting the process. Like, I never by any means thought we were going to go on and win the title this year. Like, a Europa League win and cruising on is like fantastic. I told you guys from day one, a trophy in top 4 in the first season with Ten Hag is dreamland. Like, Pep didn't win a trophy in his first year. Klopp didn't win a trophy in his first year. Conte didn't win a trophy in his first year. Like, there's all these managers who haven't won a trophy. So, like, it's kind of just trust the process. Like, obviously, I'd be extremely disappointed if the performance is the exact same way that we looked on Sunday. But if we do lose 1-0 and like, we should have won the game and Betis just catches us, like, the mentality sort of stays the same. We're on to the next one. It definitely depends on the performance, because I'm expecting a bounce back. But if we were to lose, it's not the end of the world, because we've put ourselves in such a fortunate situation in the league that, like, top 4 is not locked, but we're in a great spot. You know,
I
like,
think
we're
this
still in the FA
huge
Cup.
tell.
Still in the FA Cup, we drew Fulham. So, like, there's still trophies out there to be won, but this is a massive game just to prove to the fans and for the players to prove to themselves that, like, it was a fluke. We're actually a really good fucking team. It just depends on what team shows up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you guys should win. If I were to give a score prediction, I would say 2-1.
Yeah, you got past like the hardest Spanish team, right? What's this team? What's the issue? Yeah,
I don't know.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That's really nice of you.
The yellow submarine of Villarreal did it to us in a Europa League final. So scars are still there.
Unai Emery.
That Villarreal team were some dogs.
But fucking De Gea missed a pen.
Yeah, 22 penalty takers.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, dude, all the way down to the keepers.
Just a nightmare.
The other Europa League game is Arsenal versus Sporting. Winks, what are you thinking over there? How are you feeling?
I feel really good, man. We haven't played Sporting in like 4 or 5 years. And so obviously a lot's changed across both teams since then. I think last time we played them, Petr Cech was in goal and Aaron Ramsey was in the midfield. So we're a completely different team. Yeah, I know. We're a completely different team, but I think the name of the game for this is going to be defense. We topped our group and only conceded 3 goals in the group stage, and I think it'll be a fun one. We're reuniting against former Arsenal wingback Hector Bellerin, who I'm a big fan of. Problem is, Broussard's hurt, so there's our main sub outside of Eddie in the last 2 games. To come on for one of our attackers. So I think Eddie will be back in the starting 11. Obviously, wouldn't be surprised to maybe see a Matt Turner start here. If not, he'll probably start at the Emirates in the second leg. Tierney and Tomiyasu probably start on the wing. I'd even like to see Kiwior get the start. Jorginho will probably play for Partey. Smith Rowe maybe. But I'd say give Reece Nelson a little reward and start him, even if it's for the first 45 minutes. But I'm saying all this, and Arteta could start the Dogs and plan to do exactly what I'm kind of alluding to in the second leg at home. I think that, he knows a little more than I do about the game, so I'd trust whatever he decides to do. Yeah, just a little bit with the starting lineup, but. Pretty simple. I still like our odds, even with our substitutes starting away. My only worry is that Pedro, how do you say his name? It's like
Goncalves.
Goncalves. Yeah, he's a dog. He's like leading their team in goals and assists this year, like 12-6 or something like that. So yeah, I think the name of the game is going to be defense. I see us outpossessing them. But per usual, the counterattacks is where we've been hurt the most in the past, and minimizing those, not getting too many guys forward and getting caught, on a counterattack is, then I think we get a result like 2-0.
Yeah,
What's
this
your?
one
Go ahead, Nick.
I was gonna say for this one, I'm very, very intrigued with Arteta's lineup. Like, I want to see.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I want to see which competition or which games he's starting to play the dogs in, and which.
See, and this is where I don't want you guys to. If we do see a lot of substitutes in this game, I don't want you. I mean, you guys can think whatever you want. I really don't care, but.
Clearly,
we will.
I don't want you guys to see a bunch of subs and think like, oh, he's ready to just blow off Europa League. Like all of our teams do
No,
this
he's doing
whether it's the first leg or the second leg, right?
No, sir.
Okay.
No,
well,
sir. We had the same lineup at one sub,
That's
Barcelona
fair.
on a Thursday.
When you know it's
Newcastle on a
probably
Sunday.
Yeah. When you don't have a chance at the domestic, I get wanting to play your dogs.
Winks, I'm not letting you get away with this. That's a horseshit statement.
That is an Arsenal mentality. If I mean, I don't. Silverware is silverware. Like, you guys should want to win every single thing that's in front of you. Like, if your guys can't, if your guys after like,
I'm not
days off can't go for like 4 days. I mean, mentality like monsters. Maybe I guess
the best teams in the world. The best teams in the world do that.
Let's not forget we're talking about a dynasty here.
These two
an Arsenal dynasty.
We're talking about an Arsenal dynasty that's saying that like we're not going to go after the Europa League. We're going after that. That's a dynasty mentality.
You never said that.
Who said
we're
not going after the Europa League? I said if we start subs, I don't want you guys to think that we're not.
You think Bill Belichick would ever have that? Andy Reid would ever have
touchdown?
That
Touchdown! Bill.
We get tag teams by these guys every week. They just sit here, both of them, and just beat it to death.
Yeah,
Winks never said that, but I see what you're saying though, Winks. I'm just intrigued. I wanted to bring it up because I really want to see like the starting lineup of Arteta.
Yeah,
like, I want.
Is it more important, Lucas? Like you alluded to it, of like you don't know what Arteta's going to do, but in your own personal opinion, is it more important to play the dogs away
100%.
and like okay? So you would rather see a stronger lineup Thursday,
because as we all know, especially at the collegiate level, like when you're playing a team that you should win and you're not going to play your starting 11, usually your center backs are still going to start. Like it's fairly rare to, right? Like you still started all, if not the majority of games at center back when we were playing a team that we were planning on beating anyways, bottom of the table, whatever. So like from a defensive standpoint, I still love Kieran Tierney and Tomiyasu as wingbacks, and Gabriel and Saliba are still going to start, in my opinion, both, especially since we're at the elimination stages now. I don't see Rob Holding getting in, at all. I hope not. Comeback player of the year though, but so I would rather play our dogs away, but that's where it gets kind of funky because we have Fulham who is played the big six clubs this year pretty well all the way around. So you got to think of it from like, I'm not a manager of Arsenal for a reason, but like that's like if it was flip-flopped and we had them at home first, then I think that's a good situation to get your guys ready get the top dogs ready for Fulham on Saturday, and at least give the first half to some guys that don't get as much. But
Rob Holding has the hairline comeback of the year.
Yeah, that was what I purposely left out
Ter
hairline.
Stegen. Oh my.
Ter Stegen, yeah.
Winks, I got a serious question. Like, what's next for Reece Nelson? Like, that's what I'm like.
Yeah.
Like what? Like, because he's like, in my opinion, I mean, he had a cameo, but like, I think he's more dangerous than Nketiah. Like, and I mean, like, by a lot. And that's why I'm curious, because it's like, obviously he doesn't have the experience. Would you say he's got 84 minutes or something that he's played
something like that?
year?
Yeah, give or
like
take
a small amount. But he's still young and 23 years old. Like, we saw what he did in like a moment like that. Like, I would probably, if I was a manager, I'd probably pull him off the bench before I'd go Nketiah.
Yeah, I mean, are you talking about pulling him off the bench and starting him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I said. If assuming Arteta doesn't start our starting 11, for this first leg, I could definitely see him getting a bit of a reward and starting in that spot. And I wouldn't be, unhappy whatsoever with it because, we saw it. He's super fun to watch the little time that he's gotten. But yeah, it's one of those weird scenarios that we'll just have to see what Arteta chooses to do with him the rest of the season. And then, as we make summer signings and Gabby Jesus comes back from injury, Trossard comes back, like, do we loan him out? And get him more playing time somewhere else and then bring him back when he's 24 or, close to 25, whatever, but we'll see what that looks like. I'd love to see him start though.
I love it.
Score predictions, if I was given one, I would say I'm going to go with, I was going to say 2-0 or 2-1. I think Arsenal should roll, but once again, I'm very intrigued by this lineup. I want to see who he starts and who he subs and just kind of see where his mindset's at for the future games.
I'm going 1-1 Sporting because they played in the Champions League group with Spurs, and that was not a fun place to watch a game at all. They punked Spurs, but
they're also out their best wing back now, though.
They are indeed out their best wing back, and apparently, I tried to check his stats from when he was on the team. He was a huge part of that team. Pedro played a lot and was really, really, really consistent.
What side is he on? Is he on the left or the right?
He's on the right.
Yeah, so he'll be going up, or so whoever they're playing at that position now has got to go up against Bukayo Saka, and I really like my odds there.
This will be a good one. I think playing at what's that stadium? Alaverde, I think it's what it's called. Like, I think it's going to be like a 1-1 or 2-1 Arsenal, but it's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be pretty. Like these Portuguese teams, no matter who it is, Benfica, no matter Sporting, like just the stadium.
They always turn up.
The stadium and the environment is a tough place to play.
Yeah, this is their competition.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited for all the European games this week. As we just went over a little preview before we get to those. In our last segment, obviously, we always end it with fact or cap, but our own Mr. Ryan Butchart is not here today. So Mr. Henry Wind has the fact or cap for us today, boys.
Butch isn't here. And in the spirit of being a good sport of beating United by a touchdown, we're going to stick with Liverpool for this factor cap, and I want to focus on two guys, Gakpo and Darwin Nunez. We've watched Darwin the entire season. We've watched him miss chances, we've seen him score chances, and we've all been here saying that he has all the physical tools. Gakpo went 007 when he started at Liverpool, but we forget that the first half of the season in the Eredivisie and in the World Cup, he lit up the world. He had more goal and assist goal contributions than just about anyone in the world. So assuming that they both get this season under their belt, who turns into the better player for Liverpool starting next season, Gakpo or Nunez?
Well, you pick one and we'll say if it's a fact or cap.
I'm going Gakpo.
Fact. I'm going Gakpo just because I think that he has the ability to play all three positions. Like, I think if Salah goes out, he can play on the right. If you need him to play 9, he can play 9. If you need him to play a 10, he can drop it and he played the 10 for the Dutch. Like, Nunez is like that all-around physical specimen, can make those runs in behind. I don't want to compare him to like Holland, but he's that same type of player where he's not great in like combination play outside the box.
I know what you mean.
But like he's like that big physical, speedy presence that can get in behind and finish goals. Like he's not going to create for himself. I think that just Gakpo has all the tools to do everything that Nunez does, but can also drop a little deeper, play all three positions. And I think he's more of a clock player than Nunez is. I think Nunez fits in okay, and but I think he needs a Gakpo, and I think he needs a Salah to be next to him in order to be as good as he is. To where I think Gakpo, as we saw him at PSV and we saw him for the Netherlands, he can create on his own and score worldies on his own. He doesn't need that whipped-in service. I just think his production levels over the next couple of years are going to be insane.
Yeah, if Gakpo had worse. If Gakpo had two worse guys up front with him, I still think he could find a way to produce. But if Darwin had two worse players than Salah and Gakpo, I don't see him, obviously he hasn't produced a lot as it is, but with worse players, I don't see him doing as much. I also think that it's tough, and you got to take into account who Chelsea are going to sign this summer because, we know that they need a major overhaul in the midfield. So then who comes in the midfield for them and what is their play style like? Do they, are they more direct up the middle, or will they play out on the wings, giving, Gakpo more opportunities to cut inside and take shots on net, or will they be trying to send diagonal balls through and behind to Darwin Nunez? So I say Cody as well. But I think it'll be very dependent on who they sign in the summer.
I've all but let you guys convince me of Gakpo here, and I think I agree. I think all around, Gakpo might have it, but I think if the question is who produces more, and we're talking about two of the guys on the same side of the field, I think Gakpo's setting up Nunez a lot, and I think I'm going to eat a lot of my words on Nunez. I don't think I have. We've all kind of done the runaround around the guy. But I think there's some freak nature talent stuff there going on that he doesn't even know how to fully control yet. And Gakpo is going to raise in ability, I think, naturally. But I think once Darwin finds something and finds some consistency, I think we're talking about a scary player, and I hate to admit it, but the amount of goals he scored in the Portuguese league, I think, is a credit to the fact that he can do it and will do it. And he said himself a million times he just needed some minutes in the legs and just kind of had to get a run of it. But I'm terrified of the guy, to be totally honest, and I think I'm scared of Gakpo too. I'm more scared of what Darwin Nunez would do running at Davinson Sanchez than what Gakpo's doing running at Ben Davies. So that's my comparison.
No, I love that comparison, Hoove, because I think what you said about Nunez is so right. I think he has the talent in him, and this crazy, has a bicycle kick in him at any moment type flair. But I think the consistency of Gakpo, I don't see Nunez continuously doing that. Are we going to get a spectacular goal every once in a while? I think so. But I think over a long period of time, if we look at the consistency of both players, I think Gakpo is going to have a more consistent goals and assists than Nunez is. Will Nunez have some worldies? Oh my God, I bet he will. But I just think consistency-wise, Gakpo's got him.
I think the all-around player, you almost have to look at I'd say this is for a month and a half, probably you say Gakpo's settled in. He got signed towards the end of January. But look at Nunez and look at Salah. Since Gakpo's joined that team. Salah for a while was just an absolute shadow of himself.
He needs good players to be good.
Yeah, was a shadow of himself. And we spent the entire first half of the season talking nothing but shit on Darwin Nunez. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden Gakpo slides into that team and look at them both. They all scored. Yeah, we get it. They all scored twice yesterday. But the consistency that Gakpo has brought them, and it took him a little bit. It took him a couple weeks to get used to that Klopp style. But now, that front three, as we saw yesterday, is absolutely on fire. And I think maybe Gakpo is sort of that final piece that fits that front three puzzle.
He does have a little bit of what I'll call a Matt Turner in him, where during the World Cup, we were on this pod talking about every time the ball went to Matt Turner's feet, we got nervous because he looked like he didn't know what he was doing. If you watch Gakpo run with the ball, he has a super awkward presence on the ball. But man, he's silky when he's on it. Some of his finishes, his passes, he's awesome. I like your point, Lucas, of depending on what they do in the summer and the overhauling that they'll need to do in the midfield. What gives
Liverpool,
me
not Chelsea. You said Chelsea, by the way.
But what gives me confidence about Gakpo in that is watching him with the Netherlands. The Netherlands are known for center midfielders that can possess the ball and get him wherever he can. And he played dominantly on the left. He played dominantly as a 10 and dominantly as a striker for them. And then with PSV, he was their main guy. So it didn't matter where he was, and it didn't matter the guys behind him. I think that's a great shout, depending on who they sign in the summer. But I just think that he's going to go on to be that guy for Liverpool next year. which kills me to say. I mean, honestly, like watching him score twice against United, I was like, get fucked. Like that just, again, Glazers need to go so badly they can't get a deal done, and we watch the guy score 2 against us. Fucking it was terrible.
He was your background on a podcast.
I know.
He was our background on a podcast.
It's a great finish for him. I mean, I hope he enjoys the Europa League next year. Like,
I will say I want to give you credit, Mr. Wine. I think Mr. Butchart would have loved that factor cap and you sticking with a Liverpool side. So appreciate.
I think he would have said Nunez. I think he would have gone Nunez.
I think he would have too.
I think he would have gone Nunez,
which is interesting.
Let's also not forget that, and this is a direct quote from Mr. Butchart. Yesterday was the best day of his life.
Well, no. He said his best day. He said the best day of his life in 2023, which I thought was hilarious coming from a teacher, that wording.
I was gonna say, you'd think it'd be like all my teachers got an A on the test last week. Like that's the wording. Nope, it's beating Manchester United.
Yeah.
I think it's more winning 7-0 than beating anybody in particular.
You know, whether it's 7-0 or 1-0, it's still 3 points, whatever.
And here's the thing: if we were in Amsterdam with anybody else but Butch, I would have like ran. But Butch was almost like reserved in his celebration.
He was. He's so nice. He refused to do it.
And Hen and I are just sitting there like, oh my fucking god, I want to be anywhere else but here.
Yeah. And then he
was like, I mean, honestly, like, you know, United is just not looking like themselves right now. Bro, celebrate.
Like,
go have fun, bro.
Talk shit to me so I can
go high five a stranger.
Gotta love
it. I can't spin zone you if you're spin zoning yourself, dude.
It was so funny. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
It's classic Butch to have that and then immediately get home and post a TikTok where he's screaming 7-0 into the phone.
I haven't counted in a while. 1, 2.
He so texted funny. Me that him and I were playing center midfield together that night. And I literally responded. I was like, I'm not fucking passing you the ball, dude. Like, like fuck off.
Gotta love it. And speaking of TikToks, as we wrap this episode up, just want to give a shout out for all of our social medias. Give us a follow on there. We're on pretty much all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're trying to stay active in those. So, talk shit to us. That's what we're about. Mecca of Banter. Leave some comments. We'd love to talk and chat about it. Appreciate all you guys and cheers.
Cheers, lads.
Yeah, lads.
Cheers.
Good one.
Cheers, fellas.